let's start with this. Let's rap about it. Garrett Nussmeier, I thought had an outstanding game for LSU, and he's become much more important to LSU because earlier this morning, or I should say earlier on Wednesday morning, we learned that John Emery had gone down with an injury. So they down to three scholarship tailbacks and one that didn't even play against USC. So now the weight is even more, I think, on Garrett Nussmeier to perform this season. What'd you see from him? What'd you like? What did you not like?
Man, the thing about Garrett, I was so impressed by his decision making. He was accurate with the football. I thought he played on time with anticipation. I think those are the things that translate the most as we continue to play higher level football. Right? They played a USC defense that was much tougher than I think they've been in the past. But he was able to operate the offense. Like he didn't make a ton of plays, but every time he was called on to, work the progression, be accurate. And I think those are the things that you can rely on in it. And he hasn't played a lot of football, right? And it's hard to have confidence as a young quarterback who's just not played at that level a bunch. I know that he had the bowl game last year, but that's not really enough to draw on and have a bunch of confidence. But we saw him like throughout the game continue to get better and better and better.
I was curious to see what you saw from standpoint of was he seeing coverages correctly? Was he picking up blitzes correctly? Because that was something that was really great to see in the end zone cam when they would do the replays with Miller Moss. Is he's staring down a rush and he's throwing it into windows that I don't think I could. Me myself, I'm not making that throw. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how much of that is him going. I'm just gonna sling it because I can make it, and how much of this is no, I knew that it was going to be there for Garrett as much as Miller.
I think when you look at like football acumen, you're not going to find too many quarterbacks out there with the higher football acumen than Garrett, right? Son of an NFL coach, he's been in those rooms, he's seen everything, right? And he's had the advantage of a dad who like has poured into him from the X and O's knowledge. So I saw him going through the reads correctly. I never saw him fooled,
Mm.
right? I can't say that, hey, he did everything right in terms of what they're asking him to do from LSU's perspective. But there was never an opportunity or a time where he got pressure and he wasn't prepared to throw hot, or he got pressure and the line was sliding away. He didn't see it, he gets banged in the head. He didn't have any instances like that. And I think for fans or people who aren't in that QB room, that's all we can really see, right? And if we see that and we see him do that consistently, we got to have some real faith that he has a real grasp of that offense and exactly what they're trying to do.
We're doing the QB Takeover segment with Quincy Avery, and one of the reasons that I wanted to do this with Quincy, and I'm very excited about it, is your background in coaching quarterbacks, your background in understanding the position. Um, as much as you can, please tell folks some of the people that you work with and who are some of the folks that trust you in the industry.
Man, I've been really fortunate to work with a lot of really talented guys. I got like Geno Smith, Jalen Hurts, Josh Dobbs, Deshaun Watson,
See the
um,
jerseys behind him.
Justin Fields,
My man,
Jordan
Justin
Love,
Fields.
Tyrod Taylor. I mean, I got a long list of a lot of guys who I've been fortunate enough for them to have some faith and belief in me, and belief that I could help them get where they wanted to go. And I think that's the most important part, right? Anybody can have a guy come out and see him once or twice, but guys are like, nah, I'm rocking with you. I know that you've been able to provide me with some things that have helped me to accelerate my career or keep my career going in the way that it is. That means a ton. And the two guys who I think it means the most is like, and this is probably going to sound crazy, but Geno Smith and Tyrod, right? Because I didn't work with those guys when they were younger, right? We're about the same age, but they saw the things that I was doing, worked them out a couple of times. Was like, no, right? We can work out with anybody in the world, but we want to work out with you. So those are the things that mean the most to me. It's like being able to help guys get to where they want to go.
Man, I love that because as I'm learning some of the guys that you work with, and I've also we've done some interviews in the past, and a couple of them have been on Sundays. You watch Deshaun play, going out here talking about throw the ball, Deshaun. Like you looking around, you still coaching them up, man. Because those are your guys, and they stay your guys, and that for me means everything. It means you a football coach. That's what that means to me. They're always going to be yours. Um, I want to talk a little bit about college football and college football quarterbacks because that's my jam. That's what I do. But from the standpoint of what you see in as far as guys like we talked about Garrett, but I also want to talk about a guy like Cam Ward that translates to the NFL or things that don't and things that you like to see. I mean, that dude vaulted into the Heisman conversation with what he did against Florida. They won 41-17. He had a program best debut, 385 with 3 TDs. But it's how he was throwing the ball all around the yard that I was most impressed with. Now, Shannon Dawson was like, hey, look, the sidearm thing, that's him. I'm not going to coach that out of him. But I'm looking at you and I'm asking, is that something you coach out of him, or is that something you just let Cam Ward go do?
No, the thing about Cam Ward and the thing that he's so creative,
Mm.
right? And it's also very evident that there's no moment too big for him, right? If you watch that game and you watch every play, he feels very, very confident, not only his ability, but where he's at, right? He's at the University of Florida, right? They're in a
Playing,
stadium.
right?
Oh no, they're playing at the
Oh,
University of
excuse me.
Florida.
Yes. Okay.
You're
Yes.
playing
Yes.
at the
Yes.
University of Florida. You're in the swamp. It's rocking in there. And he looks like he's kicking it in the backyard with his boys, right? Sidearms, manipulating the pocket. He threw on time, he threw off platform, he created plays, he extended plays, and he's tremendously accurate through it all, right? I know he had one early interception and it looked like, it's not a big deal because he responded, right? And those are the things that I think that are the most important to quarterbacks is how do you respond after a critical error, right? Because it was easy at that time. He's on a new team, right? New environment, but the way you respond after an error like that and then continue to go out there like, man, this is my show and I've got complete control over this. I don't see anybody in the college football landscape who played better than him, right? He was special.
Saw some outstanding plays, man. I got to tell you, not just Cam Ward, but all across the country. A couple other guys I want to hit on, but I want to stay with Cam for just a second because you had a video that you put out on social that got my attention, if nothing else. And you were talking about the evaluation of quarterbacks and how guys get offered and how guys end up where they are. And Cam, for me, is a great example of this. Like that dude from Texas, but he couldn't get anybody to take him seriously as a quarterback. And at Incarnate Word, Eric Morse, like, I give you a shot. Like 4,500 yards and 50 TDs. And then he goes to Wazoo, does the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Now he's in Miami doing the same thing. How do dudes, because I like to say, hey, we got football players everywhere. We got dudes everywhere. How do dudes like Cam Ward fall through the cracks?
I think Cam Ward is particularly interesting, right? Because his high school was a wing T offense. They didn't throw the ball much. He didn't get many opportunities, right? So I see how there's not many guys who I understand how did they slip through the cracks.
Mm,
Cam Ward is one of the few guys that I could be like, all right, I get it. I understand how coaches missed on this guy just because there wasn't enough evidence.
mm,
And then when you look at him, he's not the biggest guy. He doesn't have the strongest arm, and he's not like the quickest or the most elite in terms of athleticism. So all the things like the benchmarks you probably need to hit when you're taking a flyer on somebody, he didn't have those. Now, when you go see him throw in person, right? Then you're like, all right, this is amazing. But you also need to understand like, can the guy like read a defense? Can he manipulate the ball when you need to, right? It's easy at a workout when you know exactly what you're doing, right? I know that I'm going to drop back, I'm going to throw this ball that goes over a linebacker, lands on the receiver before a simulated safety. You know that. But when you have to see things and do them in real time, that's what you need to evaluate,
mm,
right? Those are the things that you have to see for you to have real faith that a quarterback can do it at a high level. And there just wasn't enough evidence for Cam Ward doing that. And he wasn't big in like the 7-on-7, like that space
mm,
at a time where it was probably available for him. So I think that he probably missed out on some of those opportunities to show coaches like I can do it.
mm.
But when he's at Incarnate Word, I think that a much bigger school than Washington State should have been all over him to get him into their program rather than him making his way all the way up there.
It's scary being a football coach at the state of, in the state of Texas for me, dog, because it's everybody that comes out of there might be the dude, but you might not know about it until too late. Another guy comes to mind for me is Jalen Milrow. So I remember having him on the show because he's coming out of Katie Tompkins. He had this reputation as a runner, and he had committed to Texas at the time. And I'm like, hey, man, for real? And he's like, hey, RJ, I want to go to Texas. And then Mike Yursich cut him loose. And Nick Saban calls, say, hey, you want to come here? And I'm going, oh no. Oh no, we made a mistake. That feels like it's just par for the course in the state of Texas. But a guy like Cam Ward is also, I think, benefiting from the transfer portal in a way that we don't talk about. You know, like he would have been stuck at Incarnate Word before 2018. I don't know that he would have had an opportunity to go to a place like Miami where you're going to get this kind of exposure that you just aren't going to get in Pullman. I say that to say, does his age matter to you? Does him being a grad transfer matter to you if you're looking in the NFL to draft a first round quarterback?
The way that quarterbacks are protected, right, in which age is not going to be a debilitating factor, right? It's not going to be something like, oh, this guy's 33, he can't play anymore. We're in a day and age where quarterbacks are going to be routinely playing into their 40s. So I don't think that I would be scared off by his age in the same way that teams weren't scared off by Michael Penix's age, right? They're not going to be scared off by it. It's going to be, I think they're going to evaluate him pretty tough because of his height, and because of his athleticism. And I know that last year, going when he was thinking about entering the draft, he received like a seventh round grade,
Mm-hmm.
which that made it tough for him to go to the NFL. But if that's what they were giving him last year, when I thought he played at a very high level at Washington State, like what does he have to do to change that or change that perception of him in terms of the things that he can do as a quarterback? Because I think that he manipulates the ball well. Like I think he has all the tools. There's no reason to me that Baker Mayfield could have been the first overall pick, right? And Cam Ward can't be a first round quarterback, right? Just based on their body of work. So I think that he's special and he has every tool necessary to play at a high level in the NFL.
That's what's up. Because I'm we're going into a what is going to be once again a fun NFL draft because Cam Ward is going into the same draft as Shedeur Sanders. Watching Shedeur Sanders cook is it is a religious experience for me because what I see is a dude with all sorts of moxie who is unflappable, who puts the ball where it needs to go given time and is always running for his life. And I, and I'm looking around, I'm going, does he have first round talent? I'm not the one to say. I don't know that I'm going to draft him in the top half, but if he's there and I need a quarterback, maybe because he's wildly popular. We know that people are going to show up to see him play. But if you're putting up against guys like Cam Ward, guys like Carson Beck, guys like Quinn Ewers, are you going to hesitate? Or do you see something in Shedeur that, frankly, I don't see?
I think as an evaluator, I was probably someone who is as critical of Shador as anybody in the country, right? Because there's a lot of things that I didn't see in terms of like arm strength, quickness, his ability to move in the pocket. Like I don't honestly know if he has those things, but I know I just mentioned Baker Mayfield earlier, but that is somebody who I would really compare him to. I think Baker was probably a little bit more athletic than him, but they both are very, very accurate to football. They both have strong enough arms, right? Their arms, neither one of their arms are great, but they're strong enough. And Shador can really manipulate a football. And that is something that I did not give him enough credit for. But watching this last game, his ability to throw in the tight windows, get a football up and down, which I think is the most underrated trait or tool of a quarterback. And when I say get a football up and down, I mean those situations where you're throwing like a deep over or you're throwing a dig and you have linebackers dropping a depth. They probably get about 10, 12 yards. This receiver's running roughly 20 yards and they're running across the field. So they're right behind that linebacker. And then you got safeties and cornerbacks behind them. Those guys who can get the football up over that first linebacker and down before that safety or that cornerback can come break on it. That is a tool that is going to be necessary and needed in the NFL because you don't throw the ball hard that often. So he has that. There's a lot of things that I'm like, I don't see it either. So we're aligned in that aspect. Like I think that there's things that um like physical traits that I just don't think that he's ever going to be able to change.
Mm.
Takes too many sacks, doesn't move that well, but he does some other things really good. So it's going to be an interesting thought exercise. And like, do NFL teams value like that statuesque pocket passer who's not that big more than they value somebody who can extend plays and get downs with their legs? So I really want to see like how do people see him because I don't see him as a first round quarterback, although somebody out there may.
Well, I mean, that's what we always say, right? We say this in football, excuse me, in recruiting all the time. All it takes is one, and then everybody makes a run on you. But the thing that I find interesting about what you said about Shador twofold: one, manipulating the football, and that being an underrated trait. Because I'm thinking about my own experiences. EA Sports College Football 25. I play a lot of Ultimate Team, which is PvP. If I forget to try to arc it over the top of a linebacker or a corner, they're going to pick it off. They're going to take it from me, right? Like it's real. Other part about that was the hits that he takes. Like, we'll throw some numbers at you, Quincy. You tell me what you think. He got hit 199 times last year. He took 50 sacks. And people don't continue to talk about this, but this has been top of my mind the whole time. He broke a vertebrae in his back last year. That's why he didn't play the last game of the season. And yet here he is out here doing football stuff. Like, I like to say that Shedeur Sanders has a model's face, but he plays like a hockey player. You know, like he keep getting up, he keeps spitting out candy. And as a football fan, I love that in a quarterback. As a fan at Colorado, I'm like, hey, I thought we had fixed this. I thought he was not supposed to be running for his life anymore. Can you coach him into maybe getting rid of the football when it's not there? Because I don't know. And can you coach him into perhaps believing that he ain't Superman?
I think that the sheer volume of hits one day are going to teach him that lesson. And especially as you play at higher levels, right? You're playing in the NFL and you're getting hit in the mouth by the most athletic men in the country. You'll learn very, very quickly that I need to get rid of this football or you won't be able to play. Now, Shador is as tough as they come, right? He gets hit in the face, he hops right back up, but there's only so long you can do that, right? And all the NFL quarterbacks that I know cannot wait to throw the ball out of bounds when it's not there, right? And you got to understand like when it isn't there, and also understand like where are my skills at? Do I have the ability to move and extend those plays? And if not, then I really got to get rid of the ball. Tom Brady is, I think, someone who tries to emulate or looks to. And the thing about Tom was he had a plan, right? So either Shador develops a plan when he goes to the line of scrimmage that is going to prevent him from taking these hits, or he's not going to be able to sustain the level of play in which he's playing at.
It's interesting to bring up Tom in that regard because one of my lasting images of Tom Brady aren't winning the Super Bowl, aren't taking teams down the field. My lasting images are look, it ain't there, throw it in the ground, get mad. You know, like that was it. If it's not there, like for me, even again, playing video games, you're going to try to make a play because it's like, nah, I can do this. Nope. You're just going to throw that to the other team, trying to force it where it shouldn't go, as opposed to throwing it out of bounds. But I continue to look at that man and see he dumped it. He got out of the pocket, he dumped it. That is also understanding what your limits are. And I don't know that I've seen Shedeur Sanders understand his limits. Again, I didn't see Jaden Daniels understand his limits last year, and yet he was who he was. It's another interesting cat for me. For 4 years, I saw, yeah, right, and then turned into Superman at LSU last year, and I'm going, what changed, man? Because I didn't know Mike Denbrock was going to let him cook that way. I'm thinking about that, and I'm asking myself about Nico Iamaleava, who's the quarterback at Tennessee. Do you see traits from Nico that perhaps also translate to the NFL, or is he as creative as a Cam? Is he as tough as a Shedeur? What do you see from Nico?
I haven't seen enough of Nico, but I did watch the last game against a team who did not have the ability to compete.
Yeah.
I did see this. Nico's arm is electric.
Mm.
Right. It is absolutely electric. He moves well enough. Right. And we're going to continue to see as he starts to face like these tough SEC defenses. Does he move really well or is it just good enough? Right. But his accuracy and ball placement in the game that we saw, top tier. I think that he really can make a run as one of the best quarterbacks in college. However, the hard part about evaluating somebody in that Tennessee offense, like we know, like it isn't football that is on par with the football that you're playing in the NFL,
Mm.
right? They're not asked to go through real reads, right? They're looking down the field. They're trying to stretch the ball down the field, and if it's not there, they're throwing it to the sideline.
Mm.
They widen guys out as far as they can, and they really put stress on you. Now you can't do that on Sundays, right? The game is too tough, and the ball's always in the middle of the field to the hashes. But Nico is somebody who I think is going to put themselves in a position where they are going to be able to be a very high draft pick, right? I look at him as like the leader of the new school. Like he is the best young guy going.
I'm fascinated to see what he does against Oklahoma. Like, I'm already looking forward to us talking on Wednesday after the Oklahoma game because I'm personally invested in that one, man. Like, I love you, Nico, but I don't need you to be great in that one. You know what I'm saying? Plus, you get Josh Heupel coming home and that veer and shoot they run, that up tempo, wide splits for those wide receivers. So your run lanes are just enormous, or so it seems. But what I saw from him is one thing against the Mocs, right, Chattanooga. But what I loved was he was asked, they're up 38-0, almost headed into halftime. And he was asked, what were you yelling about on the sideline? He says, I said, keep our foot on their throat. And I'm going, okay, I love to see that from a quarterback. Because, the Zoomers sometimes I don't know, man. Sometimes I think they SAWFT. But
In a major way. An
it,
entitlement, right? It's a lot of the guys who've already got what they're usually working towards at this point. And I'm all about the guys getting paid, but you got to have that toughness and you got to be that tough kind of guy as a quarterback. And I think that Nico has it all. Like I got to spend 3 or 4 days with him at an event that Cam Newton put together a couple years ago, and I'm just like, I like this. He wants to compete. Like he wanted to let everybody know that he was the best guy there, and that to me is a trait that's undeniable, right? Like even though you're with a group of your peers, you want to make sure that they walk away like, okay, he's better than me, right? And that was his goal every single rep. We were asking him to do things he had never done, and he decided like, all right, I'm gonna take this on, and I'm gonna make sure that you walk away from this event and say, yeah, you're better than me.
that's all I ask. That's all I ask. You know what I'm saying? Show up with your chip on each shoulder. Be equally balanced for me, dog. Show me you got something to prove. Um, can I ask you about DJ Uiagalelei? Can I do that?
Yeah, yeah, we can talk about him.
Okay. So I was a big fan of DJ coming out of St. John Bosco. Huge fan. Like it was 1B and 1A with him and Bryce for me. And then Notre Dame, true freshman, he go for 439, 3 TDs. They lose in overtime, but I'm like, Clemson got one. They got one in ones. And it just didn't seem to get back to that peak that he showed against Notre Dame for the last couple of years. And now I'm looking around and I'm asking myself, did Jonathan Smith get more out of DJ Uiagalelei than Dabo Sweeney, than Mike Norvell has so far? And I don't want to dump on the kid because I see the talent. Everybody sees it. It's hard to miss. He's huge. But there's something that doesn't feel like it's clicking. Like for me, he missed 2 open receivers in the end zone against Boston College. Things that no offensive line has anything to do with, or defense. Can you put the ball where it's supposed to go? He just couldn't do that. So I'm asking you, as a quarterbacks coach, what do you see? Because it feels like if he gets fixed, he can be really great.
I think that we all want him to be really great. But in the same way that I just talked about Nico at that event, wanted to show everybody he was better than them. I'm involved in another quarterback camp where we bring out the best quarterbacks in high school, right? All of the top guys come every single year. And the year that Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, like all those guys were there was one top kid who decided not to come. Right. And that to me speaks to competitive greatness. Right. You get this opportunity to go out there and show all the other elite guys that you're the alpha, and you pass that up. And rarely will you ever get that opportunity again. So you don't take advantage of things like that to show others, where you are in the pecking order. And not that event is an end all be all, but it's definitely an opportunity for you to kind of, put your foot on people's necks in the same way that Nico said it. He didn't take that. Right. And I think that we confuse quarterback with just being a talent position. It's not just about talent. There's a lot of really talented guys who are not successful because the mental makeup isn't there. The mental makeup is not like I'm a dog. I'm about to show you I'm a dog and I'm gonna eat your face. He might be missing a bit of that. Now I don't know him great personally, so I can't say that, but that glimpse into him and him missing that opportunity said a lot. Now, when I watched the film, I just see somebody who does not look confident in the things that they're asking him to do, right? And missing throws like just a lack of confidence. And the Florida State offense is asking him to do too much. They're not running the ball. They're not able to put him in positions where things are easy. Like he was great at Oregon State, but it was a lot of play action pass, the defense coming up because they really believed it was a run. And then guys would be breaking open because they'd be in one-on-one situations. They weren't asking him to throw with elite anticipation, right? You think about that corner ball that he threw, and now there's never an excuse for throwing a ball out of bounds. but he throws that ball before the guy comes out of his break with a level of anticipation that you really need work on. And I'm not sure he has that, right? So we're asking to do some things that he might not be good at. And then we're going to get the results that we're getting, right? They got to be a run first team and they've got to ask him to just pay the tip, right? We're going to pay the bill and DJ is going to give, like, he's just going to pay the tip. He's got the gratuity. And if you're asking him to do more than that, you're not going to find yourself in a situation where you're going to win football games.
Man, that's a great analogy. I love that. I'm going to use that because I'm thinking about Ja'Kai Douglas and how electric that dude is, and he had his hands up, going, "Hey man, what do you expect me to do with that?" And I was, I'm also looking at Kyle Morlock, going, "Hey man, do you want this dude to be quarterback? Because you dropping a lot of passes we think would otherwise be catching." But pay the gratuity. I love that, man. If you're talking quarterbacks, you're talking Quincy Avery, founder QB Takeover. I'm so excited that we're doing this, Quincy. Can we talk again next week? See what's going on.
I'm locked in. And you know what I'm gonna try and do next week? I'm gonna try and get some film so we can watch together. And I'll show you the players that we're talking about.
Heck yeah. Oh, see now, see he gonna make me into a better quarterback. Quincy Avery, thank you so much.
Appreciate you.